The MindSide, Episode 3, featuring Ty Love. Ty is in a battle with himself. He is looking for any advantage he can get, and one of the biggest ways that he feels he can improve and separate himself from the players at the top is by working on his mental side of the game. Ty has been looking into and working on his mental game for a very long time. He is still young and has a long time to continue to improve and try and find those little advantages where he can. He shares a few tips and tricks that he has learned along the way, some of the lessons he has learned on the disc golf course and off the disc golf course. But I think the biggest takeaway that I had from this talk that Ty and I had was that Ty wants to be great. He's willing to put that work in. Ty learned a lot from his first full year on tour last year. He looks to take those lessons into the next few years and build on the successes that he has had. And being on tour has also taught him better ways that he can improve. And by assessing where he has come up short, Ty is able to understand where he needs to put his focus to improve. Ty has also shared his knowledge of the mental game with some of his peers. And he talks about what he has shared and who he had shared with, and how rewarding it is to be able to share that knowledge and see it applied, see improvement in another's game because of what you have given them. I am a big Ty Love fan and have been for a while. So I was glad that we were able to catch up and have this talk. So hopefully you enjoy the talk as well. Ty Love is brought to you by Dynamic Discs and Eagle Wings Disc Golf. Thank you for listening or watching the MindSide Episode 3. Enjoy conversation with Ty Love. Thank you. Welcome to the MindSide. We got Ty Love. Thank you for joining me. Appreciate you.
Yeah,
So
thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
yeah. So just jumping into the mental side of the game. Do you work on the mental side of the game? And if so, what do you do to help your mind?
For me, I think a lot of my career has been like figuring out the ways that people aren't working at it. Any way that I can catch up. And so for me, like the mental side was huge in that. Uh, so for me, like one of the biggest things is I'm reading mental game books. My favorite guy is Bob Rutella. He wrote "Golf is Not a Game Perfect," and then he's written like 5, 6 other books. I've read all of those. Those are like my go-tos. So keeping up with that, reading 5 pages a day or so, just to keep it fresh and learn new things all the time. And then applying what he's saying. Obviously, he's more preaching it towards golf, but it's an easy connection. So that's the thing, is reading it and then applying it to disc golf and doing what he's talking about.
How long ago was it when you first started seeking out mental game help?
Like mentally with disc golf, learning the mental side has been ever since I started. And but I've always looked for like a mental edge in any sport that I play, because I've never been the biggest or most athletic guy out there. So having a mental side, the mental game has helped me kind of compete with the guys who have it.
What are some of the biggest tools that you have taken away from? I guess give me one, just one of the biggest tools that you've taken away from those books.
Probably patience, of just like patience over the course of it can go down to one hole. Patience as in, I threw it to 40. I got to be patient. I can make a 40-footer. Patience, for the round I start out bogey, bogey. You got to stay patient there, or patient over the course of a season. And then also like, looking forward into my career, like being patient. And, maybe I didn't have it this year, but you give me 5 years of this, there's no way I'm going to mess it up. Right. So I think patience at the finest level, and then also very broad.
Yeah, very good. So what do you do to work on your patience?
For me, like on the course, playing in a tournament should be the easiest golf that I play. So when I'm home, I'm playing. I have a home course here at my house. We have 5 acres, and I've made it really hard. And so playing worst shot on that is just brutal. I'm coming out 18 over, and just so having to stay patient through that is huge. But stuff like that, or the putting games I'm playing with myself, how many to make in a row, how many I make before I need to go inside or get to go inside. But yeah, just making it to where when I'm on the course playing golf, that's the easy part of of disc golf. Whereas I'm really grinding off the course, so that when I get on the course and I throw it into the first tree, it's not a big deal.
Okay. Do you take that mentality away from disc golf? Are you approaching difficult things in life and trying to improve yourself through those?
Yeah, for sure. Like if I'm able to stay patient, outside of disc golf, just with life, that's going to help with disc golf, and then being patient in disc golf is going to help with, I have a hard situation in the real world, that it's going to help with that too. So definitely, like for me, it's I feel like disc golf is, yeah, I have certain, I'm going out for practice right now, but for me, it's my entire life, and so if staying patient here when somebody's annoying me, right, when I was at school or whatever, if that's going to help me on disc golf, I'm going to do it. So like, even though I might not be actually practicing for disc golf, I'm always thinking about it and trying to improve. Yeah.
Yeah. So disc golf being a part of your life, you are on tour as a disc golfer. So yeah. So basically, those tools that you learn in disc golf in the real life, it's all the same thing. But how do you
hmm
manage the ups and downs when you are out on tour and you can't escape it?
Yeah, that this was my first year dealing with that. In the past, I've just like gone out, hit one event, come back home. So to have it week after week after week is definitely brutal. Um, I think first off, like having a strong faith in God is very helpful because it my play doesn't define me that way, and so no matter what I do out there on the course, it's not going to change who God sees me as. So that's a big part of it. Also, just I think again with that patience of maybe I've had like this year I had probably a month of like really bad play. I felt like just missing the cut, missing cash. Um, and that's like just absolutely brutal. But uh, knowing like, okay, I'm obviously not playing well. So uh, let's experience it. Let's learn as much as we can from it. And then just knowing that like I have plenty of time to figure this out. Like I'm young right now. If it takes me, 15 years to figure it out, I'm willing to take that time. So uh, I think those are the two biggest things of just patience. I'm gonna have a lot of years at this. Everybody else has had a lot of years at this. So staying patient is a big part of it there too.
Yeah, definitely. Um, so with those ups and downs, so what are you doing? What are you doing to help you build some consistency? What are you working on in your game right now?
I mean, there's a lot of just like keep doing the same practice. It's gotten me here this far, but then also like being on tour, I'm learning new stuff. I wasn't very good at scrambling this year. Once I was out of position, like I just really wasn't. Um, I really felt like when I thought it was the right time to push, and I could still figure out this birdie, and it was just the wrong decision. Or the times when I was like, okay, this is fine, play for par, and it's like somebody else would shank it right there, and then rip one through the woods and birdie it. So like decision making wasn't good this year. Like other times where it was like, okay, am I playing my game or am I playing what the court like? If it's got a straight 270, where it's a perfect, the course is calling for a backhand mid, but I like a little tight forehand flex. Like every time that I should have been playing how the course wanted me to, I played my game, and then when I should have played my game, I played with the so like stuff like that of just decision making was bad. So I think watching a lot of coverage this year, which is something I haven't done in a while. Like I feel like there was a time where I've I had watched every single disc golf video that there was on YouTube, but for the past couple of years, I really haven't watched a ton. So I think going back to the tournaments that I played bad at, and watching the top guys, or maybe not even the top guys, but um, watching someone who was consistent and their decision making, something like that. I think mentally, just learning my spots and learning my game better is what's going to help next year with some consistency.
Mhm. So when you're in those spots where you've got a tough decision to make and you have made the wrong decision, what do you think were some of the things that were pointing you in the wrong direction?
I think just like a lack of experience, uh, playing on the pro tour, and then also playing those courses. Like a lot of those guys, I went to MVP this year, and a lot of those guys have played that course for the last 10. That was their even AB. A younger player, he's played that course 5 6 years, in a row. So um, I think that was hurting me too. But I think um, yeah, I think right now it's just learning from the people who are good at scrambling, making those decisions. I think that's the biggest thing right now for me. Is I feel like that's my way to learn what to do in those situations.
What inspires you to disc golf?
Um, I've always wanted to be like ever since I was real young. I wanted to be a professional athlete in something. I didn't know what it was yet, but wanted to be like really good at something, not just professional athlete, but like be at the very top level. And so I tried basketball when I was young, and football and baseball, um, and then got to disc golf, and I liked it because it was individual sport. Um, but I think like for me, what really inspires me is like I put up like the times that you're playing well, and I'm putting up a 12th, a 15th, somewhere in there. It's like you're not throwing every shot perfect, and like there's a chance that I could. I feel like, or not quite, but like a couple more shots I could pull off, and like yeah, I just think that with disc golf being like you can make so many mistakes and still play well. I mean, obviously not big mistakes, but like not every shot's going where the winner wants it to, that week, but they're able to figure it out. And so it's like I've seen myself play well making mistakes. So like how many of those mistakes can I not make in 5 years, and what's that going to turn into? So I think just seeing that like there's a lot of potential, and what would happen if I threw 1 or 2% more shots right, what, or every shot 1 or 2% better. Like I just feel like there's like I really got a chance, and I can really do something great in disc golf. And I think sticking it out in the long term, I think I will. So I think that's what inspires me. Of just I have a really good I have a chance in my head. I have a great chance to be great, and I'd love to just see how close I can get to the top.
Phenomenal. So, how good do you think you can be? What are your goals in disc golf?
um, I don't think. I mean, I don't know. I feel like there's. Um, I mean, we've seen players cap out in the past, so I don't know that saying there's no ceiling is correct, but um, I mean, I don't know why I wouldn't be able to get to the very top and stay there for a while. I mean, that's the dream of um, I wanted to be the very best at something, and so to get to that number one spot, like just for a week or for a couple years, or there's records to be broken out there, and so if you get if you get a couple world titles in nowadays, you're gonna be compared to the best. So if I can grab, 4 world titles or something, I'd be in that talk or something. So like I think I get really good. I just need a couple years, but I don't think there's a reason why I couldn't get to the very top.
Yep. And you've got time. So you just, yeah, keep working. How scheduled or regimented is your practice schedule? Is it pretty disciplined? Or are you just getting out when you can? Or are you going to work every day?
It's pretty disciplined. Like I'm up early running and then working out and then like a normal day of practice is gonna be running uh anywhere from mile to 4 miles, somewhere in there, working out. Um and then it's gonna be like a couple, maybe 2 sessions of putting practice. It's gonna be some upshot practice, and then it's gonna be 18 to 36 holes, somewhere in there. Like it's pretty disciplined. It's my life, and like I'm not. I want to see, like, I don't know if there's ever been an athlete who at the end of their career was like, yeah, I put in every hour that I could, and so I want to get close to that, and I want to, like, I'm willing for it to not take off days, and for the body to hurt and keep going through it. So for me, it's really disciplined, and I try to be the hardest working one on tour for sure.
Yeah. So speaking of the body hurting, do you do anything for recovery?
Um, I mean, when I'm not playing disc golf, um, or not working towards disc golf, then I'm probably sitting down and laying down. Like that's my recovery time. I try to get in um, good amount of sleep for it, and then uh, be able to hit it hard the next day. But recovery wise, um, I feel like it's more. I care less about working on the recovery and more about getting stronger so that I don't have to recover.
There's no such thing. Yeah. As an old man, there's no such thing. Even as simple
Well, I'm
as
sure I'll get
simple
there.
as yeah, as simple as icing. If I can steer you at
Yep.
least to icing and making sure you're stretching and at least doing some sort of
Yeah.
recovery, because you'll wear yourself out for sure.
Yep. For
Um,
sure. Yeah. I've been going through last half of the season. I have this like calf um kind of injury. It I don't know. It's weird, hard to explain. But I've definitely had to hop on the okay, hold on, like let's figure this out before, like, because I couldn't even play when I got back home. Couldn't even throw shots. When I went out and threw, I lost probably 125 feet of distance. So it was
mhm.
like, hold on, let's figure this out. So it took a couple of weeks of nothing but okay, let's figure this out. So yeah, ice baths, and I was icing it and stretching it, massage gun. Uh, yeah, so definitely when something pops up, I am uh, all okay. Get this fixed so we can get back on it. But you're right. There is no such thing as no recovery time for sure.
Okay. Well, yes. uh, so what do you try to be aware of when you're on the course, or actually here back up back to practice? How do you prioritize what you are going to practice?
I think it definitely changes as I'm seeing my game. Like sometimes you're gonna notice that your forehands aren't good, or your backhand straight shots or mids or whatever. So you're gonna notice something's off, and I try to hop on that and figure it out. But um, normally I do a lot of short game, a lot of putting, and a lot of upshot work inside of 220 probably. Just making sure like um, that I got the touch and feel that I can get up and down, because that saves you a ton. Putting is something that I'm working on every day. Whereas I don't necessarily go out and do field work every day. Um, but for sure keeping the short game dialed. And then I've always been better at uh, throwing and distance drivers, particular distance drivers, fairways. That's been like my go-to. Um, and so that has always been like I've never needed as much work in that to have it as dialed. Need more work in my short game. Uh, but I would say like the normal is hit putting, hit up shots, and then I'll play like 18 to 36 holes in the day. And then whenever I'm realizing okay my drives are off, I'll hit field work a couple times a week. Um, but it's yeah that is more when it comes up I'll address it. Not as much I go to it first.
So, what do you try to be aware of when you're on the course in a round or when you're in practice?
I'm not a big like analyzer of what's happening on the golf course for sure, like especially in a tournament. My mind's off. It's not thinking about anything physically of like keeping my arm here or whatever. Um so for me, like being really aware of um of like my mindset and being aware of like a lot of times, you have a shot that you feel comfortable on from like 300 and you fluff it to 35. And my immediate thought is like, come on, dude, like we can't be messing that shot up where it needs to be of, okay, 35 footer, we're fine. Like we can make that. So keeping myself in check that way, staying positive. Whereas, I'd want to go negative. And then also being aware of like uh, when I turn it off after a shot and let my mind wander a little bit, being able to bring it back, or because it's hard to focus for the entire 3-4 hours. So um, focusing on one shot and then being able to come right back to it is huge for me. So mentally being aware of like where my mind's at and how fast I can get it back to focus.
Yeah. So, when you are clicking, I guess, clicking it on and clicking it off, what are some things that you do that help you to click it on and click it off, or just create more awareness for yourself?
I think like having a routine, having a pre-shot routine, and a pre-shot routine before your putts also, that'll bring you back to every shot feeling the same. Uh, Deep breaths, kind of for me, that's what it starts out as. Like I'll step up to the tee, deep breath. Okay, now we're going, and then I do my routine, and then I'm throwing. But for me, like the deep breath kicks it off, but then it's the pre-shot routine.
Yeah, pre-shot routine is huge because, like, what you said about the feel of it is gigantic because
Hmm.
disc golf is almost more feel than anything else. Even your throw.
Yeah.
A lot of times when I'm giving a lesson or I'm giving someone a pointer and they throw a good shot, it's like, okay, however that felt, do that. Just try to replicate
Hmm.
that feeling. And that comes with mindset as well. And, pre-shot routine is just going to lock you in because if you're when when you do get rolling and you are riding that high and you've had 4, 5, 6, 7 good rounds in a row, a couple few good tournaments, and you just lock in. I totally forgot where I was going. Oh yeah, the habit of the positive feeling. So basically it almost becomes a habit in those times, right? When you are
Hmm.
and it's just clicking and it feels like a habit.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's easier to replicate that way when it's just feeling comfortable.
Hmm. Yeah, and that comfortability, it almost comes you almost have to experience it to bring it about. You know
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
mean? That real focus,
Mhm.
because you can fake it, but you're only faking it
Yeah.
if you actually feel it.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. And that's the tough part because, like, you're you're only really gonna feel it. Uh, um, the all the pros out here on the pro tour are really only gonna have their A game for 2 to 5 times a year, and so other than that, like, how are you manufacturing that feel, or giving it the best chance to like come up in your play? Uh, and that's a huge part because like it's golf is easy when you're just on a when you're on a streak. You're not thinking about anything. You're just going. So when you're off of that, how can you still play well? Like that's a huge part of it, and that's why so many players aren't that consistent on tour. Is because some weeks you haven't, some weeks you don't. They don't know how to play in between. Uh, but yeah, that's a huge part of it.
How do you play in between? What are some tools that you have developed?
Yeah, I think like for sure, like playing in between and being able to play well when you're not in that feel state. I think that is the mental, like that's the mental game coming to play. So for me, it's kind of what we were talking about, the awareness of keeping my mind in check and giving myself the best chance to just start feeling it and click, to where even if I don't, I'm still playing well. And I'm still putting in the focus, and I'm still able to play good golf. Every once in a while it's going to click, and I'm going to pop off a 1050 or 1060, 1070. Whereas if it doesn't quite click and I don't get that feel, I can still shoot 1020, 1030, just by getting my mindset right and being aware of where my mind's at, and how fast I can get it back on track.
Right. Yeah, and there's a big difference between ending with 3 birdies and ending with a bogey and 2 pars,
Yeah.
right? And that can you can feel like you're having a horrible round until those last few holes, and then,
Yep.
as long as you're still in it, you can keep going. And I think that's probably
Yep.
why I lost my train of thought back there, was because when you are rolling, you're not going anywhere with it, you're just doing it, right?
Hmm.
There's no problem, there's no dilemma. But it is when you show up to the course and you've got a game plan, and then all of a sudden every shot is going to the right. And why is every shot going to the right? Okay,
Hmm.
you've adjusted, but now whatever else is happening, and for whatever reason, now you've got to adjust to yourself and adjust to your adjustments and continue to find that
Hmm.
focus when the external is impeding. And that's where, seeking the knowledge in those books and talking to others like you are doing and gaining that knowledge is key. And a lot of people don't recognize how important the mental game is to not only playing
Hmm.
well, but progressing, and just
Yeah.
awareness overall.
Yeah.
Um, so being that focus is so important, and it all comes from your mental energy, what do you do on the course to help yourself conserve your mental energy?
I don't do much on the course. For me, it's all in practice. Like if I'm able to stay in it mentally when I'm practicing for 80 shots, then 55 is going to be no problem. So for me, a lot of the work comes from off the course. Um, that's a big part. And like what you were saying about people not working on it, it's funny. I had a conversation like this year or a couple weeks ago with a tour player, and he was just talking about like he can't figure it out mentally. He's got it physically, can't figure it out mentally. And I was like, okay, so how many hours do you put in physically? He's like, oh my goodness, like I can't even count the hours I've put in training, my form. I was like, so how much have you put in mentally? How much have you put in the mental game? And he was like, just silenced him, didn't talk.
Mhm.
And I was like, what do you do to practice that meant the mental game? Just dead silent. And so I feel like with this of going into the mental, like it's so important, and also working on it. Like there's so many different aspects to it, and you have to work on it. Just like our physical games, if you're not working on it, it's probably not it's not getting better. It's probably getting worse. So you bring light to that is really cool.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. And that's, yeah, because I've struggled with it. And,
Mhm.
I've tried to play disc golf with, having it just be a side thing that I've done. And yeah, with having, a job and kids and family and not being able to put in the time physically that, a lot of
Mhm.
people who make it their job do, I had to look for some sort of step up. And it's amazing when you're sitting, I don't know, throw-ins. When you can sit behind a shot, or like, have you ever thrown an ace on purpose? Like when you can sit behind on a
Yeah.
and really focus yourself enough to be like, okay, I'm gonna make this, and like hit your line
Mhm.
perfect. And like that's, I don't know, that's why I play. It's so much fun to be able to
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
the the holy shot. Like that's it. That deep breath before
Yeah.
visualization, like that's disc golf. It's,
Mhm.
yeah, create it before you do it. And that's
Yeah.
basically the
Yeah. And what like keeps me going is how often could I pull that shot off, and not necessarily make it every time, but how often can I pull off that shot? A couple times a year turns into a couple times a month, a round. Like where can it go? Can so that's a big inspiration of like obviously those times happen where you just see it and you do it and you ace and it's amazing, right? So how many times can I get that to go? If I keep getting it, you're gonna get really, really good.
But anyways, I will let you get back to doing you, and yeah, hopefully you get into that tournament.
Yeah, I know, right? It's crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
Yep. Well, best of luck to you with everything. Appreciate you joining. Send me the name of that disc golfer that needs to have a conversation about the mental game.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It was Randon Lotta. Uh,
Oh, okay.
but you should definitely hit him up and
Okay.
because um I gave him one of my Bob Rotella books that day. And so he started reading it then. And so he read it for about a week and then we left. I left Rock Hill, and so the last night I saw him, he was like, "Dude, this is the book. This is what's going to get me back in it."
Hmm.
And it was like,
Good.
"Yeah, I mean, like you can only go so far. Like everybody on tour physically is so good,
Hmm.
and it's like it's to where everybody's the same or everybody's very close physically that now it's like 25% physical and 75% mental. Like it's once you get to the top level, it's so much just the mental game. So to see him like start to realize that and be like, okay, this is my chance. Like that was really cool. And that's what's excited me so much about the mental game too.
Nice. That's good. Being able to share and inspire. Yeah, that's great. Nice.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, best of luck to you with everything, Ty. Appreciate you. And yeah, take care.
Cool. Yeah, thank you very much for getting me on here. Appreciate you thinking of me, and this is really fun. If we need to do it again, let's do it.
All right. Sounds great. Appreciate it. All right. Take care, Ty.
Cool. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah. Bye.
That was it. Episode 3 of the MindSide with Ty Love. Much appreciated, Ty Love. Thank you for joining. Thank you all for listening or watching. Be on the lookout for episode 4 coming at you with Tyler Schrock. I have a few of these recordings banked, almost too many. So I've been releasing weekly, but I'm going to start releasing 2 a week because I just have too many. I want to start recording more and moving on with that also. So there you have it. So MindSide, episode 4, Tyler Schrock coming at you Tuesday, January 9th. Thank you again for joining the MindSide.